The movie begins with Piyush on his first day in prison. Having grown up surrounded by criminals and drug dealers, his childhood was harsh. His mother sold drugs to support them, leading to constant shame from teachers at school. When police finally caught her, she was sentenced to 24 years. Piyush became an orphan. One day at a grocery store, a man insulted his mother, calling her a prostitute. Piyush's anger erupted. His girlfriend Par urged him to leave, but when the man propositioned Par, Piyush snapped. Without a second thought, he shot the man dead. We next see Piyush in an interrogation room, enduring a brutal beating from a police officer. Because he was under 18, Piyush wasn't sent to a maximum security prison. Instead, he was sent to a youth detention center for rehabilitation. Life here, however, was anything but easy. It was as bad as a real prison, just filled with younger inmates. The strong still preyed on the weak, and humanity was non-existent. Fluke, another young man caught selling drugs, arrived with Piyush. The warden questioned them, but seeing no fear in Piyush's eyes, he decided to make an example of him. "I don't care where you came from," the warden snarled. "Defy me and I'll make your life hell." He took them to a changing room, ordering an inmate named Bear to straighten them out. Bear, brimming with arrogance, promised, "Sir, they'll be begging at your feet by the time we're done." Once the warden left, Bear ordered Piyush to strip, then mocked him. Their heads were shaved. Just the beginning of a nightmare they'd live every day. Space was scarce, so inmates were packed into cells like cattle. That night, Bear signaled his men. They rose and one approached Fluke. "Get up, boss needs you." Piyush refused to go, so Fluke was forcibly pulled up and dragged before Bear. Fluke clasped his hands, begging for mercy, but no one moved to help. Bear scoffed, "Don't be scared. First day, you'll get used to it." He offered Fluke two options: comply with a degrading demand and become his property, or be forced to serve every man there. Terrified, Fluke surrendered. Simultaneously, Bear's men brutally kicked and punched Piyush, beating him so badly he struggled to stand the next morning. He dragged himself to the cafeteria, every eye on him. The prison was divided into blocks, each with a leader. In Gus's block, a man noted, "Boss, this is the kid I told you about. He's from our city. We can bring him into the gang." At the counter, the cook told Piyush the food was gone. Piyush was willing to eat the burnt scraps, but as the cook dished out leftovers, Piyush grabbed his hand, stopping him from spilling it. "Why are you doing this?" The cook sneered. "Stick your nose in everything, and you pay the price." Bear then approached, knocking Piyush's food to the floor. Gus's man expected a fight, but Piyush simply picked up the food and ate it. Everyone thought he was crazy. Gus, however, commented, "He did the right thing. If I were him, I'd do the same. If he doesn't eat, he starves." Next, all inmates were taken to shower. Piyush was washing quietly when Bear and his crew surrounded him. "What, you think everything's free here?" Bear taunted. "Everything has a price." They demanded Piyush kneel. When he refused, they forced him down. By their rules, Piyush had to take 5 kicks. Bear delivered the first. Then they called Fluke, ordering him to hit Piyush. Fluke refused, but was threatened with the same punishment if he didn't comply. Fluke reluctantly kicked Piyush lightly, not wanting to hurt him. Only 2 kicks remained, and Bear wouldn't let Piyush off easy. He told his man to deliver the final blows. Piyush knew this would be brutal and tried to defend himself. His defiance enraged Bear, who, with his men, brutally beat Piyush unconscious, leaving him there. A flashback shows a young Piyush boxing for money. Returning home battered, his mother asked why. "You sell drugs," he explained. "People mock me. I don't want to grow up on drug money." Back in the present, the warden lifted Piyush. "I want him outside in 5 minutes. If I have to come back, it'll be worse." Fluke was waiting. He approached Piyush, apologizing. They finally learned each other's names, and Fluke offered him an orange. Meanwhile, the warden warned Bear, "You're causing trouble." Bear raged when he learned Fluke gave Piyush an orange. The warden told him, "Do what you want before my cigarette runs out. Then I'm sounding the alarm." Others watched silently. No one helped. Seeing Fluke's beating, Piyush intervened. "If you're man enough, fight me," kicking one of Bear's men unconscious. Before things escalated further, Golf stepped in, stopping the fight. He wanted to recruit them into his block, but Bear insisted, "It's not that easy. They're my prey." Gus then arrived, confronting Bear. After a tense standoff, Bear reluctantly agreed to let one of them go. Golf chose Piyush. Now Piyush was part of Gus's gang. Harming him meant war with the entire group. That night, Gus noticed Piyush couldn't sleep. "Why did you save me and leave my friend to those monsters?" Gus replied, "You're not like him. Fluke isn't stubborn. He'll do what they say and survive. You wouldn't last a week in their hands." Piyush thanked him for saving his life. Golf gave him a wooden knife. "I made this myself. Use it if you ever need to." Piyush finally slept peacefully, but Fluke endured a night of brutal beatings from Bear and his friends, leaving him severely ill. The next morning, as inmates were let outside, Golf saw Piyush still sleeping. He tried to wake him, but Piyush didn't stir. For a moment, Golf feared he was dead, but then Piyush suddenly woke up, placing the knife to Golf's throat. When Piyush fully regained his senses, he remembered he wasn't among those monsters anymore. Piyush's life slowly began to improve. He found comfort among Gus's group. Gus often shared his food, and with proper nutrition, Piyush quickly recovered. Fluke, however, wasn't so lucky. Bear and his friends mentally tortured him daily, pushing him to the brink of giving up. Days later, Par visited Piyush. A faint smile touched his face, but his happiness was short-lived. Par delivered devastating news. His mother had died in prison. Piyush's eyes welled up. He broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. Par explained she only came to tell him the funeral took place and that she wouldn't visit again. "I have no one but you in this world," Piyush pleaded, tears streaming. "Don't leave me." But she left without looking back. Meanwhile, Gus spoke to his father, who told him about arranging school and a job for him. "You'll live a normal life once you're out," he promised. Gus had spent over 10 years incarcerated and longed for a new start with his father. But learning his father still lived with his stepmother, Gus's anger flared. He said nothing, simply rose and left. Piyush was still trying to overcome his grief when he saw Bear attempting to kill Golf. He jumped in to save him, but the warden arrived, ordering everyone to the floor. Bear's actions were spiraling out of control, escalating tensions between the two blocks. Gus warned him, "If you keep this up, I'll have to deal with you." A fight to settle who was stronger. But that was exactly what Bear wanted. That night, as everyone slept, Bear and his friends approached Fluke. Glaring at him, Bear declared, "I don't need him anymore. Do whatever you want." Fluke had reached his breaking point. He tried to fight, but his resistance only inflamed their rage. They then took turns raping him. Inside those prison walls, humanity died. Fluke screamed for help, repeatedly calling for the warden, but no one came. He lay half dead on the stairs like a cold corpse. Then he overheard Bear and his friends discussing grinding blades into powder to put in Piyush's food the next day. The next day, they carried out their plan with the cook's help, waiting for the outcome. In Gus's group, food was shared, so it wasn't guaranteed Piyush would get the poison plate. Bear didn't care who died, only that someone did. When the plate finally reached Piyush, Fluke snatched it before he could eat, devouring all the food himself. The blade tore through his throat and stomach, causing him to writhe in agony. Piyush tried to save him, but Gus explained it would only cause more pain. "We can't save him." Fluke's death ignited intense tension between the two groups, and Gus finally prepared for a gang war. They agreed to fight the next day, when the warden and guards would be busy. Piyush was consumed by regret over his friend's death, refusing to speak. Gus tried to comfort him. "What's done is done. You can't change it. Tomorrow it could be me or anyone else here. How many deaths will you regret?" Everyone gathered in the yard. Gus waited for Bear for a long time. When he didn't show, they assumed he was scared. But that wasn't the case. Golf saw him approaching. Everyone drew their weapons and charged. Gus attacked Bear, but it had no effect. Bear was wearing something underneath. Bear then stabbed Gus repeatedly. Their screams alerted the guards, who sounded the alarm. The warden stopped the fight, hitting everyone with sticks, but no one confessed who started it. Finally, everyone was sent back to their blocks. Piyush saw Gus sleeping, covered by a blanket despite the heat. Touching Gus's forehead, he found a high fever. Seeing his injury, he screamed for help. Something sharp was lodged in Gus's stomach. Golf tried to pull it out, but the pain was unbearable for Gus. Piyush continued to cry for help, but everyone ignored him. Gus knew his time was short. He looked at Piyush and said, "These people are just like us. No home, no family. After I'm gone, they're all counting on you. Take care of them." That night, Gus took his last breath, and silence filled the air. When Gus's father learned his son was gone, he was devastated. He had waited 10 years for Gus's release, only for these monsters to kill him days before he was free. To avenge Gus's death, Piyush and Golf went to kill Bear, but at the last moment, they were caught. Bear could have killed Piyush then and there, but he offered an option. "If you want to kill me, you'll have to fight. Will you fight?" Bear was sure Piyush wouldn't have the courage, but Piyush met his gaze and accepted the challenge. Golf set the fight for the next day, adding that if Piyush lost, Bear could kill him too. That evening, Piyush prepared for the fight. Sharpening his blade, he told Golf he'd heard dying people often remember their mothers. He felt he'd die tomorrow because he missed his mother so much. Golf advised him not to overthink it. "We'll see what happens tomorrow. Everyone dies eventually anyway." The next day, everyone gathered in the bathroom for the fight. Golf told Bear to strip, knowing he was cheating. Bear asked, "Who told you? Did Gus's ghost visit your dreams last night?" Blade in hand, Bear lunged at Piyush, confident he'd kill him. Piyush's fear slowly took over. The first knife wound deepened his terror. He tried to counterattack repeatedly, but he wasn't as skilled as Bear in this bloody game. His nervousness was clear in every move. Finally, he pulled back his blade, remembering his boxing days. The moment he saw an opening, he swiftly struck Bear's leg. Bear staggered, and as he fell, Piyush relentlessly stabbed him repeatedly in the stomach. Bear's friend moved to help, but Golf forcefully pushed him back. Finally, Piyush choked Bear, taking his last breath. Shortly after, guards arrived, ordering everyone to their cells. The warden beat all three with sticks, angrily shouting, "You dirty sewer worms! If you don't care about your own lives, how can you expect us to care?" After beating them, he locked them in their cells. Golf said, "Don't overthink it. We didn't do anything wrong. His death has only made life easier here." The next morning, Golf woke to find Piyush had been awake all night, staring outside. Sometime later, the warden arrived, but his demeanor was different. He brought delicious food for them. "If you always want this food," he said, "you'll have to leave here. Your life won't get better as long as you're here." The warden took them outside, telling them they were being transferred to different jails, where life was far better. Golf and Piyush thanked the warden for his generosity. As they were put into the car, they looked at each other one last time, silently bidding farewell. Piyush had learned much about life here, but now he had to serve the rest of his sentence alone. The warden had sent them off with the hope of a better life in the other prison, but only time would tell how true that was. I hope you liked this story. Please let us know in the comments if you want to see more movie explanations like this. Your suggestions motivate us to keep making more videos. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.